Yeah, so let's get down to some business here. I've just posted over at TammyBruce.com a post on how the so-called Justice Department, you know, the entity that drops charges and drops a winning case that they'd already won against the Black Panthers for voter intimidation. This is they've blocked the Texas voter ID law, saying it's biased. Yeah, apparently they think Americans of Hispanic descent are brain-dead zombies. That's what the Obama regime thinks of you guys. Yeah, and if you think that, oh, well, the ends justifies the means, we need to make sure that even foreigners can vote. I hope all of you Hispanics who are Americans, who are going to be voting and appreciate and love Obama, I hope you appreciate your image and reputation being smeared as brain-dead, drooling zombies. Because apparently, because you're Hispanic, you're unable to figure out how the freaking hell to get identification. So I don't know how you're getting booze or driving or cashing a check or getting a bank account or using a credit card. I don't know how you're doing that because apparently you're unable to figure out how the freaking hell to get a government-issued ID. Hope you appreciate that. Yeah, that this is so scurrilous that you have to be painted as one of the extras on The Walking Dead. Yeah, so the Obama administration has blocked the Texas new law requiring voters to show, gasp, government-issued photo identification at the polls. They're saying it's using its power under the Voting Rights Act to halt the Texas law. And what they get to do is they blocked a similar law in South Carolina in December. What they get to do in about 16 states, because of the Voting Rights Act, that have had a history in the past of problematic voting issues, they're able to, those states have to ask the Department of Justice for permission. And whenever that's the case, the Obama regime says no. And it's not that it discriminates against Hispanics. We know Americans of Hispanic descent are grown-ups and are perfectly capable, thank you very much, of figuring out how to get a freaking federal ID. But it does interfere with having foreigners reelect them because they know Americans aren't going to freaking do it. That's what this is. Yeah, so they're using its power under the Voting Rights Act to halt the Texas law, saying in a letter to the state today that the measure may disproportionately harm Hispanics. Congratulations, everyone. Congratulations. That's right. Voter ID laws have been passed in 8 states last year. Thomas Perez, head of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division, of course, wrote to the Director of Elections in Texas, even using the data most favorable to the state, Hispanics disproportionately lack either a driver's license or a personal ID card. Yeah, from our government. From our freaking government. So, for those of you who are American citizens, they're brushing you in there with all of the drooling zombies. That you're just flaming morons who can't even figure out how to get a freaking government ID. How do you like that? And of course you know you've got one in your wallet right now, don't you? Sure you do. You've got one. I don't know, I guess you'd never travel anywhere because you can't get a passport. Can't buy booze. Can't use any credit card because usually they do ask you for ID. All the kinds of things that we have to do with an ID. I'm not quite sure how you got an address, how you rented your apartment. I'm not quite sure how you got your car. I mean, how the freaking hell are you people functioning out there who are Hispanic? How do you freaking do it? Every Hispanic in this country, every person of Latin heritage, should be protesting the scum in the White House. And if you're not, it means you don't mind being painted like a zombie. Now, why would you need to be if this is actually something that needed to be the case? Did you ever think about that? Why do you need to lie to the American people? Why do you need or want foreigners to vote in American elections? Now, of course, the issue is they know in their own polls that Americans will not want to elect them, and the right to vote, first and foremost, is the most precious right as an American citizen. It is the thing where we are going to control our destiny. Now, I don't like what the destiny looks like right now with Obama and what we did in 2008. But look, this is the thing. We are in charge of who it is that is running this country. That is the most precious right. All other rights stem from this democracy. All other rights stem from our participation as the sovereign in making those choices. Hence, right number one. Okay? All the other rights mean nothing if we're not voting, are not allowed to vote, can't vote, or if our vote means nothing as citizens, because anybody can vote. Okay? And that's what the Obama regime wants. They don't care who votes them in, because they don't care about this country. And it actually fits within their new global vision, where America needs to be taken down a few pegs, because clearly Americans don't know what the freaking hell they're doing. I mean, on one hand, it's a little ironic, because that's proven by the 2008 freaking election. So, yeah, this is not the last stop, though. Texas and South Carolina are among the 16 states, or portions of states, that have to obtain this dumbass permission. But right now, you're looking at, well, by the way, the Texas law, signed by Perry last year, voters who arrive at the polls without one of 7 acceptable forms of ID, because obviously you Hispanics are morons, according to the Obama regime, not according to me. I actually give you so much agency that I don't think of you as one of God's little childrens that need the benevolent dictatorship of Juan McCain. And that you're actually having a functional life because you're grown human adults who know exactly what it is you want, just like Americans do. I know. Silly me. Yeah, one of 7 acceptable forms of ID issued by the state or federal government, including concealed carry handgun permits, would be given a provisional ballot. Those ballots would count only if voters bring an approved ID to the registrar's office in 6 days of the election. So you can vote. And then you can have, if there's 7 options you've got here. If you don't have one of those, then you can still vote, and you can then go and show your ID later. The law exempts mail-in ballots, pshaw, because I hear Mickey Mouse loves to mail in his ballots, and voters with significant disabilities or religious objections to being photographed. Now, I do believe the American Indians still believe, and this might be somewhat true, I don't know, considering the condition of our world these days and how soulless all of Hollywood is, that you lose part of your soul when a photograph is taken. And wouldn't that explain a freaking hell of a lot we're dealing with in our culture, wouldn't we? That would explain it, wouldn't it? I mean, with Hollywood, it just means that their soul is continually being sucked out of their body with those film cameras. So if you got that, objection, and the Muslims don't have an objection to being photographed, they just want to have a mask on. Yeah, that's not helpful either. Mm-hmm. They say, the Fed does, and the Mexican-American Legal Defense and Education Fund, because you need that too, because you're all a bunch of drooling, freaking, brain-dead infants, said the photo ID law disproportionately affects poor and minority voters. You know, I grew up poor. Many of you listening grew up poor. Many of you are poor right now. Well, you're not so poor because, you've got your interweb tubes and you're listening. If you've got the interweb tubes and you're listening on your mobile device, you're not poor. Sorry. But if you're a TAM, if you're a subscriber, you might be struggling. Many of us grew up poor. Okay? And somehow my mother was still able to figure out how to get a freaking driver's license. It's an insult to the poor. You remember when they were always saying, oh, the poor are going to have riots. When was the last time that the Americans who are struggling had riots? Americans don't do that. But the left wants to paint you as maniacs. Why? Because they're projecting. Oh, yeah, it's going to disproportionately affect the poor and minority voters. If you're poor, clearly, and somehow the Fed has figured out where you are and is able to figure out that you won't be able to vote, then it means that they've also figured out how to get you some food stamps and maybe some welfare, and you need identification for that too. Isn't that funny? Which means they know where you are and that you're poor because you are getting something from the Fed, which required identification. All of this is a wank. Can you tell what today's going to feel like? Let me check in with the chat room. You can tell what today's feeling like already, can't you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Media Christian says Barack Obama is a dumb bastard. Women, children, and minorities hardest hit. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. That's right. Pop Art says, and Tammy, of course, that spontaneous quote-unquote Occupy movement is a perfect vehicle to spread the fallacy that those poor folks are just itching to riot. I think Media Christian's point is well taken. With Obama being a dumb bastard, women, children, and minorities are the hardest hit with that. That's right. Timbo is thrilled with the fact that I said wank. Is that the first time? Is that the first time? Oh, GOP Kim says, I had to show a photo ID using my credit card at Walmart. Well, because there is a lot of desperation out there now, and there's a lot more credit card fraud. And you do have to show it everywhere. And I tell the person who's asking me for my photo ID, which I carry, which apparently I have because I'm not Hispanic, and somehow I'm able to function in my life, being a thousandaire, and I have this driver's license. I'm able to show it. Yeah. So that's what we're dealing with now. Here, it's not over here. Texas and South Carolina are challenging this in the federal court. They filed suit in federal court seeking permission to enforce their photo ID requirements. But what this also tells you, remember, always I encourage you to look past the headline and look into why the action is happening. Why is the Obama regime interested in this? For two reasons. Again, one, they do want to eliminate the Constitution. They want. Tammy, you're not serious. Yes, I'm freaking serious, and just listen to me. Everything they do indicate. Look, we're going to get international permission for war, and then we'll let Congress know what we're doing. That is the biggest crime. It's like what Constitution? If you're able to eliminate the import of the American citizen's vote, you've really struck a blow at the entire premise of this democracy. In addition to the fact that the left knows Americans will never elect them once they figure out what it is they've got, and they need foreigners. They want Mexicans in here because they've also been raised through a socialist society. Mexicans who are here illegally don't want to play by the rules, hence they're here illegally. And yes, they want to be here and get handouts because that's what their life has been like. They're not going to vote to come here and have to work hard. Primarily because they don't like the country. So they want people in here from socialist societies that will reinvest in that here, and you can see the result of that throughout Europe. It's worked out so freaking well. That doesn't matter to people like Obama, because the, quote, leadership of socialist societies get filthy, 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 filthy rich. It has nothing to do with right and wrong. Oh, that's all gone. It's a completely navel-gazing theory. They don't give a damn. They're maniacs. And hopefully someday we can make them criminals. This is absolute freaking destruction of people's lives. How is it not a crime? Just saying. So they're suing. So they did this. So congratulations, Hispanics. Is that what you all are doing today? Because you can't get your vote, you can't get your ID. I hope you love the imagery being painted of you. Figure, well, it's okay. It's the end result that matters. Why do you need to be painted that way if something is the right thing to do? Huh? How is that? What do you need? Do you need O.J. Simpson to come back over here and slam your head with a copper pot to finish you off? What else do you need? You need Alec Baldwin to scream at your little girl that she's a pig while O.J. Simpson can punch you in the face? Are you waiting for that? Waiting for some pharmaceutical company to cure your eczema by giving you cancer? You want that? I'm mad today. Is that apparently? Is that apparent to everybody? Yeah. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure. All right, so listen, also this weekend,